Jim, on the topic of fanfare, there was a lot of anticipation, not just in the recent weeks, but I guess you could say over the last year, for Saturday night's main event in Washington, D.C., John Cena's final match, his last match. There were rumors maybe the president will be there. Maybe Vince McMahon will be there. And coming out of the event, you have to say, will they ever be there again? That's the question some have been asking, but an interesting night, and a lot of people want to hear your review of the main event, but we got to get there. Saturday night's main event in Washington.
Well, and I was hoping against hope, and thankfully he didn't show. I didn't want to see the bloviating flesh bag there. And I knew that Vince McMahon was not going to be there because he was in the package. And that's rightfully so, because he was part of the large part of the history. So yes, putting a congratulatory, not a congratulatory, but just a complimentary statement about John Cena in part of their package was called for. But they weren't going to ask Vince to be there live, nor possibly would he have wanted to do the public thing, whatever he's doing with. What's the name of his new company? Fucking you?
14th and I.
14th and I. Well,
which was his dad's office in Washington, D.C., where they were.
Well, yes. That was the address. There was on the 14th, the street and the I Street right there. And they looked out and they saw they were running some kind of insurance scam where they had somebody taking bumps in car wrecks. But anyway, they brought a nice cross selection of current and former and legendary, stars there to be in the crowd and everything. Angle was you don't see him all over the place. A bunch of miscellaneous unknown celebrities that are on, what was this? The Peacock, whatever they're on. There was a rapper or two, I think. The shot of when they were doing the deal where they're showing the guests and everything and the festivities and the way that, they were making the Cena retirement a big deal, that's great. But when they went to the locker room, Brian, and they're like his name was next to it, and the hushed tones of who was it, Joe Tessitore, when he said, in mere moments, that locker room door will open, or whatever he's doing. It sounded like they were awaiting the comeback of Jesus. It almost got a little Hollywoody there at the start, dare I say. And then they did a career retrospective video with, I believe that was Triple H doing a voiceover, trying to sound like more like the Liv Schreiber instead of the fucking game, right? But it was his voice, unless I'm just deaf in both ears now instead of one.
He's doing a lot of narration all of a sudden, isn't he?
Well, it's a way to keep it without having his face there, which is always a plus. He says at least he's got his voice. It's him bringing you this thing, which may come back like Al Costello's boomerang here by the end of the show. But they were trying to. Yeah, but they were trying to show how beloved John Cena has been and how much John Cena loves you, the fans, in this video. And I'm just thinking, my God, everything he said and did through like fucking, what was it, July? Was like, I hate you people have ruined goddamn everything. I'll get revenge on you if it's the last thing I do. And suddenly he's beloved and he loves you. And for this, ladies and gentlemen, and by the way, this is say farewell to a household name, the Cock. This is bye-bye to Peacock. Cock's pretty much household name, isn't it? I mean, Peacock, They're in many households.
Well, this is, as you are saying, the end of Peacock's deal with WWE. They already started pulling content. off Peacock. We don't know where it'll end up yet.
They started tearing their pictures in half and keeping their half and throwing the fucking WWE half away over at Peacock.
But this was the fulfillment, I guess, the last big event they are delivering to Peacock. Apparently the pre-show and post-show was somewhere else. I guess YouTube. I don't know. Because I was watching Peacock. I wasn't going to go to multiple streaming services to see more. But yes, Peacock, the final big event of the Peacock deal.
Well, I hate to see the cock's feathers get ruffled. But never. So can we drop that now? Then am I paying for that Peacock here? I guess I shouldn't ask you. I should ask Queen Stacy, the streaming secretary in charge. But we can get rid of that now, can't we?
Yes, unless they suddenly announce that they have some kind of new deal with Peacock, and then you'll have to get it again.
Well, drop down, get it again. All righty then. So in Washington, D.C., this was the biggest arena gate ever for, not in Washington, but in everywhere, for an arena, from what I understand. For not a stadium, but for an arena-sized event, this was the biggest gate that they've ever drawn in the history of the wrestling company. They certainly made a choice but at the end of the show on doing that.
And I'll tell you, if there was ever a night to make the fans go home happy, it's when they're paying those prices for tickets.
God damn it, with that. Just what one concession stand took in on this show, I would have been in if Knoxville Civic Coliseum in the middle of the ring cutting my fucking head off for Bob Armstrong. Anyhow, we should have got a little clue, Brian, at the start of this festivities that maybe there was going to be a bad moon on the rise when there was Joe Tessitore, and instead of Governor Ventura, old Jesse, he was there with Stephanie McMahon. And I struggle with Stephanie trying to be a babyface, trying to just be a good
cheerleader
person.
Yeah.
She is a great heel, but she's just a grinning, smiling, somewhat disingenuous fucking shill, to give mild criticism, as a babyface, or change my mind.
I think she's a good heel. I won't say great heel, because great heels get their comeuppance and it helps them. Good heels.
Okay, now don't.
She never got. Her and Triple H were the heels that never really let baby faces. Well, yeah, she wasn't even in the ring. She was dressing down top baby faces on the mic, and then nothing would happen.
I agree with your dissecting what I'm saying to differentiate from the point, because I agree with you there wholeheartedly and 100%. But I'm saying, just as a goddamn douchebag, bitchy, witchy, whiny, wanna just pop her right in the fucking toes kind of fucking bitch. That's what I'm saying, performer. But nevertheless,
but they're desperate to find a role for her. That's
to my point. She is not a likable person when she's trying to just be on TV.
She comes across like a disingenuous cheerleader, and the more you see it, the less you want to see it. She got a big pop that first time she reappeared after she went away because of the scandal. Not that she was a part of it that we know of. But she went away.
No, but because of the whole incident, she had been gone, and now she came back. Yes.
She came back, got a big pop. Then they start using her. Then they start trying to hype her up having a podcast where apparently she advertised how you could get around it with Surfshark. Those horrible deals. So they're trying to find a role for her, and what's it going to be? Like you said, the only role that really worked was her being a heel boss figure. And there are issues with that, just how it was rolled out and how it goes on and on and on, whatever. There's lots of issues with that. But other than that, what are they going to do? She's not going to do commentary. Here she is hosting. I don't know. I don't think she's that great. You know, they're going to keep trying to find roles for her, things for her to do, and it's going to be very interesting.
Well, and of course, Governor Jesse, normally this is the podium spot, not the commentary. Joe is the host, and then he tries to keep Jesse from burying the product. In this case, he was just there to facilitate Stephanie's rah-rah stuff. And then apparently Jesse was on either the pre-show or the post-show, which we assume it's on YouTube or whatever the fuck, correct?
But I think so. I think it would be, yeah.
Did they have to, obviously they had to bring him contractually, or because why would you bring him and not put him on the show? Or were they trying to make him feel good? I would think that Jesse Ventura would have been like, fuck you. If you just need me on the pre-show YouTube, I'll stay home. So I'm wondering how that's kind of almost like, why bother? Am I reading too much into this?
It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, unless John Cena said, I want Jesse Ventura there, we heard that his deal expired. He wasn't at the last Saturday night's main event. We heard that the 1-year contract that he had with them was up, but maybe there was one more day, but that wouldn't explain why he wasn't on the event. Because if it was a NBC or Peacock or Saturday night's main event thing, he would have done anything on that. Apparently he was on the pre-show on YouTube or wherever it was, or post-show.
Well, and I was thinking on the show, they could have even put him with, Nick Khan was in the front row, along with Kurt Angle, and I have my notes for my various legends, but point being, all these celebrities were in that front row area. He could have, hung out in that company. Nevertheless, I'm not advocating he should do any more commentary. I don't misunderstand me there. All righty, so the place was packed, 19,000 whatever people with this. I don't even know if they've released a gate or the gate or whatever, if we have statistics on that. But the record gate, and the place was packed on the floor all the way back to the entranceway, where they had a kind of a tunnel thing that they could get away with without blocking any seats off. And then a 4-foot wide aisle like the territory days. Brian, that would have been, in a well-maintained ringside setup. That's as much room as we got. And we didn't have bicycle racks in most places, but a good one. You can imagine if anybody wanted to just reach in and just fucking punch you right in the ear, on a 4-foot aisle, you can't be more than 2 feet away from anybody. But everybody made it through unscathed on this one. But that shows you how many people were there. And this was the concept where they have the exhibition matches. Although I didn't hear them beating the word exhibition to death. Did you?
That word went away after that promo, it seems like.
Yeah. So it was NXT guys versus WWE full-time roster guys, but they started out with Cody against Oba Femi. And remember, I made fun of Oba because the time we watched NXT, he did a promo, and the accent, it didn't thrill me, and there was some interaction with him and some of these other yahoos, right? So, okay. But this against Cody, with this presentation in front of a fucking big crowd with the big building and etc., visually he's got it down, and athletically, I'm not saying he's a technical wizard, but athletically he can do everything possibly that he needs to do. I can tell that already. And I think honestly, I don't know whether he was possibly nervous, I'm sure he was at some point, but whether they was showing or whether this is the way he always looks when he's in a match, but he needs to be more aggressive in body language and facials without actually doing anything like of his moves faster. Because Cody called this so that he cut Cody off right away. And then Cody could fight from underneath, and he could control the tempo and make sure that Oba didn't rush. And it was methodical, but he made the shit count. And that was why Cody was doing the deal where we're going for a degree of difficulty of 5 and an execution of 10 instead of the other way around. So he did his shit, and Oba Femi was there for it. But He didn't want Oba to go overboard. See what I did there?
Very well done.
Apparently you just didn't give a shit.
I just said very well done.
You should have popped and blown snot everywhere. But
that was great.
All right. Woo, there's the slide whistle. What I'm talking about with more aggressive in body language and facials is there, and he had some good facials. I'm not saying he's Gargano in some good reactions to things, but there are times where you can look at his face and see he is thinking about something and trying to remember something, or just look at his face and see he's a normal guy. If you take his visual presentation, the entrance they've got for him with the lighting and everything, and every time that he's in view, especially of the floor cameras, the handhelds, and they can see his face up close, that he's got his eyes fixed on the opponent or something, and he has the emotion and the intensity that he wants to portray on his face and in his eyes, rather than just sitting up and the difference. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if Cody is stretched out or on his knees before him and he's going to pick him up, I don't want him to just rush and grab him and jerk him around, but I want him to come up with more goddamn tension in his body and his arms spread out. And then when he grabs Cody, the drawback and the laying on of hands with a smack that you can hear on the traps, and then soften up and then work like he's jerking a guy into the thing. Because the way he looks, and this is a guy, again, I think he's a babyface in NXT because he was working here as a rough heel instead of, or a rough babyface rather, instead of being a full-fledged heel. But this is the kind of guy that would almost get over as a dominant heel that gradually switches and becomes beloved, and etc. But he just visually, he needs to look more like a fucking loose nut and an aggressive, savage type of fucking attitude to match that physique and that look and the athletic ability he's got. He can fucking spine busters and shit. He can move like a fucking cat. So I think he just needs to work on having more confidence, maybe. That's what I'm saying. Maybe he was a little nervous on this one. But when he can really, just snarl a bit, I would like to see that. But it's hard. How is this guy a babyface? Good Lord, he looks like the star of a goddamn, monster movie. Your thoughts?
Not sure what monster movie that would be. That's my first thought. Secondly, I could see what you're saying. It seemed like the fans were really into him there. I think early in the card, it was clear that the fans wanted like a special night in some way.
Yeah.
And I think they even wanted Obafemi to get a surprising win here. But I thought it was all right. I could see some of the tentativeness, I guess, that you're explaining, if that's the best word to encapsulate it. But I think he's good. But he's also a guy like a Tiffany Stratton or a Sal Ruka or any of these other people who had nothing to do with wrestling, were serious athletes, drafted into WWE, and have learned the business from zero to now in 3 years or whatever it may be. And again, we just talked about guys in the 80s who in 3 years were doing incredible things. So it's not like you need forever to become the best, but he's in that WWE system. It's their way.
Number of repetitions in actual practice rather than, and in a variety of positions, as we've talked about many times, rather than just in the gym and or one place for the same amount of time or for that whole period of time.
Yeah. So
nevertheless,
but I think he's really good for someone who's only done stuff in WWE, the WWE way. under Shawn Michaels and Triple H from the beginning till now. He's really good with all of that as the caveat.
That's the thing, is that 3 years because he wasn't a fan is also a short period of time when you're talking about he should be able to figure out how all of this shit's supposed to look, just instinctually. And that's hard when you've never watched the product at all. But
and I assume he wasn't a fan. At least he wasn't involved in wrestling. He wasn't in a training school or anything. He was an athlete.
Well, yeah, that's what, from scratch. I mean, maybe he watched it in his childhood in the kingdom of Nigeria, or where did we establish he's really Nigerian, but he was putting the accent on to some degree?
I think that's what it was. He really is legitimately Nigerian, and he puts on a forceful Nigerian accent.
Forceful. Well, he was forceful here, and he actually gave Cody a big fucking shot over the desk. They went and everything, and Cody busted his ear open for real, I think, on one of those desk chairs that they have when he went over the desk. But so the ear blood added to the thing. And then they were having, Cody again was calling this, and obviously he gave the other guy most of it. And then he did a cutter off the top and got a 2 count. And then out of nowhere, here was Drew McIntyre. And he got on Cody, and boom, 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 just a few seconds. And Obafemi pulls Drew off, and they have a face off. And the fans were getting up and Oba shoves Drew on his ass, and then Cody runs by him and gives Drew a cutter, and Oba gives him a choke slam, and Drew says, fuck it, and gets out of there. And Oba and Cody held their various belts up, the NXT belt and the WWE belt. So am I crazy that maybe couldn't they have had Drew McIntyre come out to interrupt before the first entrance and just pitch a big fit out there in front of those people about how this is ridiculous? They're on a prestigious network like Peacock and on a Saturday night, and I ought to have a match with Cody Rhodes right here, right now, instead of some unknown, goddamn local yokel, whatever. And let Oba come out and dust Drew out a bit or whatever, or the officials kick him out. And then here comes, and then they have the fucking match. Then it makes a little bit more sense to everybody sitting there. If Drew got kicked out, he comes back with the goddamn hoodie on. They do that every other week anyway. Why? Help me, Brian. Would anything have been a little more exciting than this thing, which was kind of flatter than a fucking snake's belly in a wagon rut?
I didn't mind it as much as I maybe should, but I didn't mind it. I thought the match was good. I thought once Cody started bleeding, and it wasn't typical wrestling blood, it wasn't from the typical places, it kind of made you perk up a little bit. Like, oh man, look what's going on here. This guy is dominating Cody. I didn't expect Drew to run in. I also didn't know how they were going to get out of this. Because I'm thinking, Cody can't beat him because that'll kill him, but they've done that to people before, but I don't think they're going to do it to him. And he can't beat Cody unless they're going to give him a super push right out of the gate. So I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do. And Drew interfered, and I didn't mind it because it gave him an out, but also it wasn't just like interference for no reason. It was interference that happened, and then Obafemi gets mad because now he lost the match because of this interference. Him and Drew get their moment together. People start making noise about that. Drew, as always, gets beat up and is cheated and has to leave and be mad about it in the future. But I don't know. It was kind of like in the movie Body Slam when Quick Rick Roberts and Tonga Tom beat Little Will Hutchins and his brother. And, after the match, they all stand up and shake hands and celebrate before the fans. It was kind of like that. It was an exhibition. And these two guys came together. There wasn't any tease like, oh my God, whose side are they on? No, they were on the same side from the moment Drew got in there.
I agree with many of the points you made in that dissertation just now, except for the fucking thing about Tiger Tom and the fucking Funky Bunch in the Body Slam movie or whatever.
Tungatum.
Whatever the case. But what I agree with, because no, they should not. Obviously, they shouldn't have beaten Cody here, but obviously they also shouldn't have beaten Obafemi. And I knew they were going to have to get out of it, quote unquote, some kind of way, as they say in the business, son. But what I'm saying is the way they set it up was just, especially in front of the people live, was very abrupt, especially on the prices they had paid and also what they were going to see later on in the night. That it just like put some effort into this thing, make some tension beforehand. Did Drew bump into fucking Obafemi and tell him he was a goddamn, nobody piece of shit that didn't deserve to be in the ring with Cody and better fucking bow out now, son, or I'm going to fucking take care of you later on. And they had some kind of pull apart. Now there's police been taking statements and whatever, that just instead of just, oh, it's time, go out there, DQ. That's the point that I'm making, Brian. But they did that.
Do you think Obafemi should be in NXT too much longer?
No, because I mean, he's been there for 3 years now. I think this is the only match I've seen of him, but I would think at this point that he shouldn't be there much longer, because if this was just a mirage and Cody made him and they don't think he's ready for the main roster, how much fucking longer is it going to take? They ought to at some point let the guy see what the fuck, if they have a good presentation for him. And it looks like they've put a little thought into his lighting and shit. So I don't know about his little strut, whatever the fuck that thing was that he did down the entrance aisle. But he's more impressive than a lot of things I'm seeing on the main roster television. So can you find some guys to work around him and give him some main roster experience and let him get more confident? What the fuck? At this point, you just can't keep all the kids in the house forever. They have to go out and find a job sometime.
Well, that was the opening match, Cody Rhodes versus Obafemi. And of course, Jim, if I had asked you in advance, if you want to play the slots... Boy, I'm trying to make a transition here. It's just not happening. Jim, life is about... Go ahead, please.
No, keep going. Keep going. I want to hear it.
Life is about enjoyment. In life, you need to be able to enjoy yourself. Cody Rhodes obviously gets a lot of enjoyment from bleeding and working with younger wrestlers, as we saw here. And some people get enjoyment from playing the slots. And of course now, thanks to your friend, your good old pal, Jim Cornette, there's a way you could do it from home with a great deal. Go, Jim.
I'll tell you something, Brian. That was a wonderful introduction of our fine friends over at DraftKings Casino. And I would have think that it could have been condensed. And the thing about it is, Cody won that one by Cody he didn't win. So I don't know. My transition would suck either. I would say,
Cody won though. Let's go with that. I like that idea.
I would say Cody was lucky. And if you want to be lucky or somebody was lucky, hey, you want to get lucky, kid? If you want to get lucky, folks, you go to DraftKings Casino. You just had to mention the word luck and see, then you could just go right there. Folks, if you're feeling lucky, then you need to go to DraftKings Casino, because it's the one version of all the holiday chaos that might actually pay off, because whether it's not lights and wrapping paper and family over for the holidays, it's just you. Download the DraftKings Casino app and use the code Cornette, CORNETTE. And then it's just you and luck and mama luck and mother chance and father time. How much time do you have left to do this? It's all up to them, but they're only metaphorical people that won't be involved in the room with you at the time, unless you hire some type of role-playing BDSM stooge off the internet to come and role-play Father Time and Mother Chance and Sister to Luck. And if you know my sister, you'll know that you're going to get lucky. And right now...
What are you saying? Why are you saying these things?
I'm telling the people at DraftKings Casino that if they play $5, then they're going to get 50 spins a day for 10 days on the cash eruption slots. And what that is, that's where the cash literally comes right out of the slots in your computer. Erupts all over you. They shove it through the goddamn signal. And whenever you win, it's a thing, and bells go off. And there is some element of spillage of a liquid, but that's only
none of these
to grease the wires.
None of these things are promised, guaranteed, or at times expected, but what you can expect is to sit back at home and enjoy what you normally would somewhere else, but at home.
Yes, just stay home.
That's right, stay home.
Well, you can do this out and about if you're on your phone, but you can always stay home and still enjoy the outside experience. But right now, play $5 and get 50 spins a day for 10 days on the cash eruption slots at the DraftKings Casino app with the code of Cornette and enjoy holidays on the house. It's their gift to you this holiday season with DraftKings Casino and yours truly, me and Brian. We are giving you this opportunity to clean up and have all kinds of various objects come out of the cracks of your computer. An eruption of cash. And the crown is yours. But you know what, Brian? There's still more information. People need to know a certain amount of things. We don't want to go off without informing the folks of certain caveats to these things. Are you ready? Can I take a drink before I caveat?
Take a drink, and of course, Jim's going to tell you some of the things you need to keep in mind as you take advantage of this wonderful deal from DK Casino, our friends at DraftKings.
Yeah, you're going to play all your 50 spins by the time I finish with this. So, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. 21 plus, physically present. You must be in Connecticut, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, only, void in Ontario. Eligibility restrictions apply. Non-withdrawable casino spins issued as 50 spins per day for 10 days. Valid for featured games only and expire each day after 24 hours. See terms at casino.draftkings.com/promos. Ends January 25th, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. If there are any voiceover artists in our audience that want to send us a file of this, I will pay you $50. Good day.
If we approve of your work, not just anyone who sends it in, and this is you making this guarantee, not Arcadian Vanguard or myself.
I didn't give my address, did I? Just send it to you. If you like it, I'll pay them.
Well, once again, Jim, the crown is yours. One more time.
Yeah.
How can the listeners get this crown or access to it?
With the code Cornette. By downloading the DraftKings Casino app and using that code, you will just be spun for the next 10 days. And that's a great way to spend the holidays.
Well, Jim, why don't we spin our way back to Saturday night's main event in the nation's capital? There's more show before the main event.
Well, in between each of the various segments, they were doing tribute segments and clips of the greats, near greats, former greats, and people who are grating on you. We're all talking about how great John Cena. I'm surprised they didn't get a comment from Tony Khan, but about how great John Cena is. But they were making it. It was a nice thing in between. It didn't drag like the normal travel logs, but and there were some more unknown people at ringside. And Chuck Zito. He looks the same as he did 40 years ago, because he looked like an old mobster then. Is it just my imagination because I don't see him but every 20 fucking years or so? Or was that a wig? he was wearing? Is that some kind of Ernest Angley type of apparatus?
I don't know why you'd go after Chuck Zito. Now, he looked fine. He looked like he's aging very well.
That's what I'm saying. How the fuck old must he goddamn be now?
He's got to be in his mid-70s, I would guess.
His hair's so black lightning bugs are following him around in the daytime.
Well, he was there for John Cena's final match.
Yeah, he was there for John when John needed him.
Like you said, they had celebrities there. They had these videos of celebrities who weren't there sending in their thoughts. It was good because really this Saturday night's main event was all about one match. There were other matches, and the fans enjoyed them. But it was almost like they were treated mentally like exhibitions because it was about one match. So all of these things, it was almost more like a boxing event in that sense than wrestling, where the main event matters. There's a bunch of other stuff, but everything's pushing one thing, and that's the main event.
But we weren't there yet because next up was the other exhibition. If you'd have said, "Hey, Sol Ruca is an exhibitionist," I would have paid on pay-per-view for that. But just her exhibition, it wasn't the same thing I was thinking. But no, Bayley and Sol Ruca. Bayley had Lyric with her. Sol Ruca had, what's her name, Daria with her. They didn't get involved because they're all baby faces. But I'm going to admit, Brian, that I was mistaken. I skipped the first couple of minutes of this because I thought, remember the last time I saw Sol Ruca, she did the reverse backwards inverted Guernsey flip, whatever the fuck, and tried to get the two girls with the cutter and just fell at their feet, just whiffed past both of them.
Yeah, and then we heard from fans, that's her signature move.
Well, and that means that, I pretty much didn't need any more of those autographs. But I thought, wait a minute, it's Bayley. So after 2 or 3 minutes or whatever it was, I slowed it down and started watching it. And I've got to admit, I was wrong. She's not rotten. She's not bad. Obviously she looks great. I can see the potential in the athleticism, but I think, again, I don't know how long she's been around, but it might be it's another one of these things with the Obafemi we talked about, where did she know what this stuff was supposed to look like beforehand, or is she started from scratch? And sometimes just because you can do all of she does good athletic gymnastic things that show her gymnastic background, but sometimes it does come off as, I think we said this about another one of the young ladies, like a gymnast doing wrestling rather than, you see what I'm saying? But that's polish. She needs polish. I will actually volunteer right now for free to go out to Sol Ruca's place and wax her. Up and down, give her a good shine. She got a lot of potential here.
Oh boy.
But finally, well, I mean, it's just
potentially she'll be calling the cops very soon.
I'm a sympathetic I'm a sympathetic and compassionate and a charitable guy. I'm willing to contribute my time for free to smooth out her rough edges. Make sure she gets all of her edges rubbed.
All right, Mr. Laurinaitis, let's get back to the match here. What is wrong with you? Look at these things you're saying.
Wait a minute. Come on now. I didn't ever see her in a lingerie catalog. So old Sol hit a roll up and Bayley kicked out and Sol jumped up on the turnbuckle and hit. From the camera angle, I couldn't tell either way, but it seemed like the people didn't fart at it. So I think she hit the finish on Bayley. And then Bayley was in the ropes, so Sol pulled her in. Bayley rolled her up, but Sol reversed it and boom, caught a quick one, as Vince McMahon would just goddamn pummel you with a hammer for saying. She caught a quick one, and Sol Ruca won over the...
I call this one the hammer, Greg Valentine.
Maybe maybe he called it the quick one. That's what the problem was. Which Saul won, and Bailey led and did a good job with this. And I mean, she's the experienced pro here, but Saul ain't bad, is what I'm saying. Better call Saul if you need a forward inverted Guernsey flip done.
Well, she's good, and she's got, she's not a tiny girl that you always criticize. I guess that's the best way to say it. I was going to say she's got some size to her. It's not that she's big, it's just she's tall, I guess. And she's an athlete.
She just has a more commanding presence and looks like a full-grown woman, and you could see her in some type of various action movie type.
She looks like a star. Now, she looks like a star. Yeah. Well, that's 2 for 2, I guess, in terms of NXT talent you're seeing on this show, who clearly they've been integrating more onto the main roster and these various things they're doing on SmackDown and Raw. 2 for 2. Same issues, you think, or in terms of Obafemi, where talent, size, look, but you could tell by the training.
Yeah, more. They just need to grow up and get more comfortable and more confidence, where they can show out some more oomph and that type of thing. But yeah, both of them have oodles of potential, is what I'm saying.
And if you were going to put her in there with anyone, Bailey, I guess, is kind of the best worker, maybe, in terms of just like a nuts and bolt, like the Arn Anderson of the women's division.
Yeah, well, and I mean, she's taken an interest in, from what I've seen, in helping some of the other girls get trained and get better and et cetera, and trying to give back and do that whole thing. And I'm sure she'll end up as some kind of cog in the flywheel after she's out of the ring, in training or agenting or working with the women.
Well, Jim, we went from the women's match to a match in something you have an expertise in, the tag team division, a big tag title match.
Boy, and everybody's goes, oh, Cornette. It was AJ Styles and Dragon Lee against Javon Evans and Leon, don't call me Dick Slater, as Jim Ross would have said at one point in time 20 years ago or more. Here is my unpopular opinion. I'm sorry. But as I've just talked about how much I like Javon Evans, and I think Javon Evans should be focused on, and Javon Evans should be, there should be things that only he's allowed to do. And they've given me, it's almost like the Top Flight guys in AEW, where they're brothers. They're the same height, they're approximately the same weight, and they do the same kind of shit. Leah, with Slater and Evans, or Zager and Evans, where am I going with that? Is this the year 25-25 yet? Do you see what I'm saying? Is that, yes, their tag team work together was good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's two guys physically similar doing the same kind of stuff. And to me, Javon is still superior in two things. Number one, he's jumping so incredibly high. Actually, three things. Jumping so incredibly high. He has more charisma, I think, than Slater. And his body is better because he's so skinny that at least there's no fat on him, whereas Slater is just kind of a skinny guy that's still got some meat on him, but no definition. Is it just me? Is that just one of my old hang-ups of you don't have just unless it's a fucking identical twin gimmick tag team? Help me.
Well, again, this was at least a one-night thing. I don't know if it's something you're going to continue. Javon Evans has clearly been a priority, although we're not sure when he'll be on the main roster permanently. He's obviously still a part of things in NXT, and I guess you could say TNA. Teaming up with a TNA wrestler, you knew who was going to take the fall here, right? As soon as they said that, I'm like, I bet I know who's getting pinned tonight. But yeah, they look similar. I mean, there's I shouldn't say they look similar, but they're similar kinds of wrestlers.
Everything
I'm saying is wrong right now.
Hold on, listen to me. They are two guys with long hair on stage with the Doobie Brothers, both of them singing the backup vocals in the exact same key. Now, which was he Ben or was he Tom? But one of them has a little bit better voice.
Now, with that said, I think they're both good. But you're teaming them up. It'd be like if, instead of Robert Gibson, you found another guy that looked kind of like Ricky Morton to team up with Ricky Morton.
Yes, or I was going to say Robert Gibson and his brother Ricky didn't look like Robert. That's what I'm saying, is that it's not just about similarity in appearance, but they're wrestling the same style and they're approximately the same size and same body type. And since they're both trying to be exposed to a larger audience, to me, I would have rather had, my pick would have been to have Evans against AJ Styles in a single match. I could see if they wanted to have Dragon Lee wrestle Slater or whatever. But to me, it diminishes what gets either Evans particularly or Slater over as special to have both of them goddamn doing it. And the fact that because they apparently had a set amount of time that they had to hit, either that or someone was holding members of their family hostage. They had to address that situation. But this was the fastest tag team match I've ever seen, start to finish. They did choreography at 100 miles an hour. With all the dives for the new guys, right? And the splashes and everything. And then they beat up Dragon Lee for just a bit, but then simultaneous tags where it's kind of like, oh, he's close. Okay, I'm close. Okay, we'll tag. And then a choreography at 100 miles an hour, but Javon Evans hit the biggest cutter ever on AJ Styles. And Slater came off the top with a 450-degree splash, but it got saved. And they sold for 10 seconds so that people could chant, "This is awesome." And then 100 miles an hour again. And I'm not even saying they did too many moves here. I'm saying they did a 20-minute match in 10 fucking minutes. And I don't know that I might rather have had them cut out 3 or 4 spots and give everybody everything a chance to breathe. And I think they would have gotten even a better reaction. And then AJ went for a springboard and busted his ass. And boy, if that was the spot he was going for, he was willing to risk a goddamn injury of some kind to fall that awkwardly that quickly. But boom, and Slater got a 2 count, and Slater came off the top, and AJ caught him, and the Styles Clash, boom, 1, 2, 3. But that was my thing, is like Evans and Slater are too similar to showcase what makes each one of them special. When you've got 2 guys that are partners doing things that I believe they should be selling Javon Evans as he can do things no one else can do. And then, and here's his partner. He's doing some of it too. That's my point.
Good match. Like you said, fast-paced. The fans were into it. And I think that's the thing. The fans were in a good spirit, it seemed like, all night. Building into this main event. They were enjoying the matches. And it was now time for our main event.
Well, no, actually, it was time for the main event, all right, but they wouldn't let us have it yet. I'm not going to, discuss it or anything, but R-Truth and Miz did a little stand-up comedy in the ring so that they could say Joe Hendry's name, and he came out and they beat up Miz. And I'm all for anybody beating up Miz, but do we even need to discuss? It was sort of like intermission, whereas they were waiting to make sure the bathrooms had emptied out.
He started giving a promo. He was so impassioned that, man, I'm like, man, this is really good. And then they just treated him like the same jobber they always treat him like. Everything he's saying is true. I main evented WrestleMania and beat John Cena. That seems crazy. That seems like a bizarro universe. Like nothing real that happened here on planet Earth. But it happened. And then he went right back to doing comedy stuff with R-Truth.
Good Lord. See, there's there's always crackpot ideas that get through, but then just because nobody gave a shit, they forget about them until they let this guy come out and remind people. And then they're like, holy shit, they actually let that fucking happen. I wouldn't want people reminding somebody, hey, your next door neighbor, Ned, he's a sex offender. Ah, shit.
That's probably a good thing to remind people in the neighborhood that Ned is out on the loose.
Not to Ned. That's the thing. Does Ned want you to be, hey, don't go around reminding people. That's what I'm saying. They're netting themselves.
Yeah.
They're netting themselves when they are reminding people what stupid shit they did. That'll be a new adverb there, netting yourself.
Well, Jim, as I was saying, it's time for the main event.
It certainly is. John Cena's last You Can't See Me hurrah. And they brought Gunther out, and that's what this obviously all through the match. It was the crowd was into everything. But this was what they came to see. But they did the long panning, and they got the Cena chants, everybody standing up, and then they just had to turn the lights off, and and then they hit the music, and it's a giant pop. And out comes Cena, and he's milking it at the entranceway there. And did you see he took the trouble to actually take the camera from old cameraman Stu, the guy that follows him down the aisle every goddamn, so I guess since he's been there or whatever, that he always talks to. He took the camera so he could turn around and shoot Stu one time before he left, and they fucking didn't take the shot. Did you see that?
I was waiting to see who he was going to... I was waiting to see it happen. It never happened.
It did, because they didn't take the shot. He didn't hold it long enough. As soon as they went to the shot, he was already handing it back. So you saw like Stu's nose as he panned by. And I was like, this was Stu's chance. God damn it. That should be something. They can sell more t-shirts and say, we can't see Stu. And so one of the heels can take it over. And every time he waves his hand in front of his face, people say, we can't see Stu. Anyhow, so he ran the run to the ring, got a pop. And then he had to get out and hug all the front row legends. There was Kevin Steen. He's looking fine and pudgy. And, they were up from the start and got more Cena chants. And
did the TKO make him pay for the tickets?
I bet you they probably saved them, since they already had such a gross. They probably saved like the front row there for the most important people that they wanted on camera, and them they would allow to sit gratis. That means you pay nothing. But this again was Cena, the way the match, we'll talk about the finish separate from the match. The way the match was constructed is the same thing as Obafemi and Cody, where Cena wants to make Gunther the dominant physical force here, the heel, the dragon he's got to slay. So Gunther took over right away. I mean, even in the territory days, yes, we know they were superstars, but just for the people sitting there, we used to shine the baby face a little bit just to give the people their opportunity. Yay! And kind of, he all right, it's his night, and then take it out from under him. But there's not that long of a period anymore. But nevertheless, Gunther took over so that Cena could fight from underneath. And the people were with it because of the circumstances here. They were chanting, fuck you, Gunther, which got bleeped. Or they tried to bleep it, and you tapped out. And Gunther took his time and beat up John Cena. Now, here, as obviously as anybody with working eyeballs could tell, John Cena was calling this match. I'm surprised they don't just give him a megaphone like Rudy Valley and let him say, oh. The lips, I just can't I can't look away from John Cena's lips now, Brian. Does that make me in some weird way weird? That he's just obviously talking all the time.
It's so obvious, and Gunther was doing it too. both of them throughout this entire thing, it was one of the things that could take you out of a match. They were both doing it so obviously so much that you can't ignore it. You'd have to force yourself to ignore it, so that's why you pay attention to it.
Yeah. Well, but here's the thing. I believe John sat down and got all kinds of input and watched some Gunther matches and, asked him, you do the power bomb, you do the chop, you do this and that, and got all kinds of input. But this was a John Cena match against Gunther rather than a Gunther match against almost anybody else. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And part of obviously just the beating up the babyface, letting him fight from underneath, that's anybody's match. And they both did their regular moves. John did most of his regular moves 2 or 3 times, but it wasn't the same kind of pace and style and flavor you get from the typical Gunther contest. But again, the people were all over it. Fuck you, Gunther was popular, goddamn phrase. And then they did a string where Gunther would just fuck with the people while Cena struggled to his feet and then hit the ropes and clothesline him. And I think they did that about 5 times or so over 2 minutes. And the crowd was chanting asshole. But then John fired up another little comeback. He had already done You Can't See Me at that point once. He did a second You Can't See Me. And then got the AA and a 2 count. And then the match is not at a blistering pace, but the fans are with it and they've told a story and the heel is just wiping his feet with the babyface. And the babyface made that little comeback. And then Gunther gets a sleeper and John Cena slips that and gets a sleeper. And it started getting slow. They went out on the floor and he beat Cena up on the floor a little bit. And then they did the stunt spot where Gunther took Cena up the stairs by the desk and then Cena gave Gunther an AA through the announce desk. And then back in the ring, another one at a 2 count. And then the big leg off the top to the back of Gunther's head, which there's a reason why Bobby Eaton never did that, is it defies the laws of physics to make that look good with the way that they've presented it. Brian, am I being too critical? The leg drop off the top to the back of the head with the guys bent over.
I don't think you're being too critical about that, no, because he was waiting there for a while for it.
Well, and besides that, you can't. The reason why the Vegematic worked was because the guy was only a foot off the ground and he could go ba-bam, leg into guy into mat with guy's ass on top of him. But the guy looks like he's just committing suicide and trying to kick the guy on the way down. Anyway, Cena milked the one more You Can't See Me, and there's Gunther's just laying there motionless for like a minute while John winds him up. Now, say it all with me now. Say it all with me. And he fucking, they did. And before he could, You Can't See Gunther fucking spoiled it and kicked him and power bombed him and got a 2 count. And then they did the yay boo back and forth, which again was not the cadence with which Gunther normally has these slugfests, like with Elia or whatever. But again, John's working hard for his age and his social status and position in the fucking standing in the community. But then, after Gunther foiled an AA and hit the power bomb and splashed him and got a 2 count, Gunther got a sleeper. Then Cena fought it but couldn't get out. And then he fought out, but Gunther got it back. And then Cena talked to Gunther and he fought up, and then Gunther got on his back. And I wrote at this point, I've noted I've gone to sleep. And then Cena broke it and Gunther got it back. Cena talked to him and fought up and broke it. Gave him an AA 2 count, and then Gunther got it back. And through a lot of this, as much as I love Gunther, and it pains me to criticize anything he does, but he's got to be tighter with the sleeper when he's working, especially his right hand. He needs to adopt if most of the time, if you go back and watch Vern Gagne, he did it the same way every time. Gunther has got to watch the right hand that's on the top of the head and how the hand is placed and positioned, whether fingers are spread or whether it's cupping the forehead or what place it's in. And that's what you're seeing through again on these floor camera close-ups. He doesn't have to squeeze the guy and try to pop him like a pimple, but he has to be on there enough to have just no obvious loosening of grip around the guy's fucking head, especially on the top hand, because that's the one the eye's drawn to. Does this make sense, Brian?
It does, and that's usually a John Cena problem where something isn't snug enough or it looks way too loose.
Well, but I will try to watch the next time that he's with somebody else and see if that was a problem isolated with Cena, because I believe I've seen him do it a time or two before anyway, Gunther. So that's just a flag I'm throwing up on the play. But nevertheless, back to this fucking finish. And now the referee's grabbing Cena's arm after he's been in a sleeper for 4 fucking minutes. And it drops twice, and then he fights up again and talks to him again. And then Gunther elbowed him a bunch and sleepered him. And people are saying on the internet that they thought that Cena, as he's in the sleeper, and there's a shot of him there on the camera, that he smiled and then tapped out ever so softly, almost like he was trying to wake up a sick in-law or something. But was that a smile or was that like some kind of Stan Laurel goofy face that he was trying to make like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was like, and the birds are twinkling around his head, and he's out.
Those are the two options. Either he was smiling or he was impersonating Dick Van Dyke on his 100th birthday, impersonating Stan Laurel.
Oh, there you go. That's what, because it wasn't like a big grin like he's posing for a picture. It just was a stupefied look with kind of a closed-mouthed, lips pursed, fucking crooked Stan Laurel type of thing.
Or it's almost funny if he smiled like that, because here he is tapping the guy whose whole catchphrase was never give up. And his final match ends with him giving up.
But also, it wasn't like a frantic tap out.
No.
It was, and the crowd, again, by the way, 5 minutes. It was the last 5 minutes of the match. They had a match going, and then the last 5 minutes of the match was this sleeper trying to get out, getting back in, getting out, all the things I just described. 5 minutes. The crowd was like, what the fuck? And when they showed shots of them, mouths were open. They were holding their hands over their head. One guy before they cut away, had mouthed, before they cut away from him. But it was like a, what the fuck did I just spend my money on type of what the fuck. Not like a, oh my God, I can't believe I've seen this awesome thing. They were befuddled. They were sad. They were bummed. It wasn't. I'm sorry. I know, and people were saying, oh, Gunther had a lot of heat in this match. And they had footage on the internet, on Twitter, of Gunther going to the bus or whatever transports him these days. And the fans are going, fuck you, Gunther. And it was, old-fashioned heat. No, nobody, it's good for today, but that's not what old-fashioned heat looked like, because it was 2 or 3 guys going to a goddamn rental car with maybe a cop or two, rather than here's this procession of security detail onto a giant rental bus while people are behind barricades. But good for today. But the point is, it was not good heat. It was crowd deflated heat. At the end, they had heat during the match, and then it was like, no, that's not what they wanted to see. And so much of this, the whole thing has been not what they wanted to see. But this...
You're talking about the last year or this match?
Yeah, well, the last year, but also as pertains to this particular match, Brian, explain to me, if you can, how that they wanted to think that 5 minutes of fighting in and out of a sleeper was going to be the way to take this thing home, instead of Cena making the epic rally comeback of his career against all odds, and then fucking Gunther hitting that goddamn power bomb about 3 or 4 times in a row, boom, and top spread or whatever. Would have been more exciting than this?
You would think so. You would think it would have to be. I think at a certain point you had to expect that Cena wasn't going to win. It seemed like that. You know, he'd be all about putting someone else over. Every time we saw him the last several years, he came back to put someone over, whether it was Bray Wyatt in that weird video match or Austin Theory. That's what he did. Solo Sikoa. That's what he did. So it's not a surprise, but the way it was done, the drawn-out nature of the sleeper hold, which, when it was frequently used in WWE, put someone to sleep in like 30 seconds at most. But it was almost like you were watching the energy get sucked out of the crowd. They wanted a John Cena celebration. A celebration of that era, you could say. And it didn't happen. And it wasn't him getting pinned and then you react. It was a long, drawn-out again, he gave up. His whole thing was never give up. It's fascinating that his career would end, and the message is, give up! Just give up! That's kind of amazing that he would allow that. But I think they probably should have...
Give it up, give it up, baby, give it up.
I think they should have done a John Cena last match with someone they were okay with him going over.
Oh, you think?
And I think doing this... I mean, I guess it helps Gunther as a heel, because now you really don't like him, and he ended Goldberg's career, and he's ended Cena's career. Who will be next? But this entire year feels like a mistake. This entire year, whether it was triggered by the Cena thing or not, this entire year felt like a giant step backwards. And you saw the post-match. You saw those fans who were dedicated WWE fans who paid a ton of money to be there for that night. You saw their reaction to Triple H, who's the person they blame or give credit to for everything that happens.
Hold on, let's not get there, because one thing, here's a question. Is it ending someone's career when they've already said they're quitting? That's the thing.
Well, yeah,
it's not,
last match. Yeah, right.
No, ending your career is like, I'm going to hurt you so bad you can never do this again. That's ending your career in wrestling. But everybody's saying, oh, he's ended his career. No, he just had his last match, because Cena ended his career. He said, I'm not doing this anymore. Whether he won or lost is fucking immaterial. But the point is, I think, and yet we're not even going to go into the heel turn. We've done that, and you can find the videos, folks, on the YouTube channel where we've talked about the heel turn and the inanity of the whole thing. And then suddenly, never mind.
Just wait, Brian. You hate everything with The Rock. This will all pay off.
Yeah, did it pay off? Did it pay off, or did it play out exactly like I said it would?
It was a cash eruption all over the place. Yeah, they splooged on us all right, but it was so bad, and finally they just said, never mind. And all those horrible things I've said about everybody are forgotten. And then out of nowhere, Brock Lesnar just comes and just beats a teetotal shit out of Cena without him being able to goddamn blow his fucking stinky breath on him. And then never another, they're not talking about it really, but at the same time that no rematch or no chance to get even or whatever, Cena just never even, he just didn't want any more of that shit. What the fuck, what was that needed for? And now Brock's going to quit by next year. So was that his third to last match or whatever? And then I think I said this, was it a month ago or after Survivor Series or whatever? I know that at the start of this thing, they thought the Saturday night's main event was going to be on NBC, big network TV exposure, big deal. We'll make it Cena's last match. But when this thing was moved to the molted bird, and they just had Survivor Series, which was in a stadium. I think they missed a chance to have their cake and Edith too, when they could have had Gunther beat Cena at Survivor Series and potentially even for that Intercontinental title, or they could have done a one-off with fucking Dom or whatever, and then brought Cena back to win this particular retirement match, still against some kind of top-level individual. But to give these people that paid these huge prices a reason to smile on the way out. This wasn't a make them mad, get heat with the crowd like, oh, I can't wait to see the fucking rematch when he gets even with it. They're not going to. John's not getting even. So that's what I'm saying. They had a big show where they could have done the big job of John Cena to have Gunther, hopefully, or whoever the fuck they wanted, beat him, and then gave him an opponent so they could have had a thrilling back and forth. And there you go. John Cena, one last time, goes out a winner on the shoulders of his multitude of fans. And instead, everybody's like, well, fuck. Well, fuck. Now, Brian, isn't that what you said? Well, fuck.
You know, again, it seemed like we were just waiting for it to come after like 2 minutes of the sleeper. I don't care how many times he fought out of it. You were just waiting for it. And then there was the lame tap. Even some of the talent, I saw some footage of them in the crowd. They said, oh, fuck. And then it was, you know, not forced, but then it was like, all right, now it's time for the planned post-match ceremony. Everyone can. At one point, you saw some guy directing traffic, telling wrestlers, you go here, you go here, you go here.
Yeah.
But again, they already killed.
I've herded cattle. I've herded cattle before, and trying to do one of these things with getting all the boys to go. They'll bunch up on one side. You won't be able to see anybody. There, blah blah blah. But the thing is, the crowd was already chanting bullshit.
Yep.
When they were sending all the roster out to be with the stars in front, Triple H and Steph and Punk and Cody and Taker and Michaels and all the talent. And the crowd chanted bullshit and then settled down and segued into a thank you, Cena, because they knew it wasn't his fault. And he was kind of sitting there on his ass looking at him like, well, but the thank you to Cena chant would have been a lot bigger and more vociferous if he was standing there, you know, winded and on a knee, but holding his hand up in the air. It would have been a little more vociferous. And then as soon as Triple H is visible at ringside, the crowd's, you fucked up. You fucked up. You fucked up. I've never seen, there was at least 50 recognized top wrestling stars from around the world invisible to those people. And they were happy about everything except whenever Triple H made himself visible or attention was drawn to him, they would turn like a pack of angry wolves. And they would chant at him or boo him. And I've never seen anything like it. Out of 49 positive and 1, you son of a bitch.
And it's all based on the finish.
The finish.
And the booking. That's the interesting thing. They're booing the promoters specifically because of what they just got.
Cody and Punk gave Cena both of their belts, and the people chanted, thank you, Cena. And he held all the belts up to all 4 sides of the ring, and the people cheered, and he handed them back to Cody and Punk, and the people are happy, and he turns around and shakes Triple H's hand, and the whole crowd went, boo, fuck you. And then Triple H points to the Cena music video that they played on the screen in the building and on the air, on the broadcast. And Again, wonderful, all their production shit, great video, etc. But then by the time they got out of that, Triple H had got his bald head out of there, and Cena took his bows to each side of the ring and saluted and took his shoes and wristbands off and left them in the middle of the ring and walked down the aisle and turned around at the entrance. And with a wink and a bow, and he put his hand to his nose and flew up the chimney. I know that's old St. Nick. With a wink and a bow and a salute, he said, "It's been a pleasure serving you all these years. Thank you." And off he went into the sunset.
Boy, you know, his career, his last match ended the way a lot of his career went. It was just frustrating. Just frustrating.
I don't know in hindsight how or why they did a variety of the things they did. It was there. It was easy. It's the last year of one of the biggest stars you've had. He can still go in the ring. Just book the fucking pay-per-views. Let him promote it on some television. Figure out one or two guys you want him to put over in the course of that are going to be with you for just ages and eons. Gunther and Dominic, perfect. Don't turn him heel. Don't tell him to tell the fans that they're despicable people, that they're beneath him and they're pieces of shit. And then say, "Oh, never mind." And don't have a guy that's only going to have 2 more fucking matches beat the fuck out of him with no rebuttal. And don't do these things, all of them.
During the post-show, apparently the fans really gave it to Triple H when he appeared on the podium with the post-show anchor team. Not happy about all this. At one point, there was
somebody chant like we want AEW? No, I'm sorry, we want they chanted AEW and we want Vince.
We want Vince. And by the way, you know, that's fun thinking like, oh, that pervert who's no longer here, he wouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
Because he didn't upset you with his booking? The Undertaker's streak ending to Brock Lesnar? So I don't know about that.
Well, but no, here's the thing. I mean, there's not a depth of reasonable thought that goes into this than I just seen that finish 5 minutes beforehand. The we want Vince sentiment is we want anybody but you, motherfucker. We'd rather have the last guy. It was just to more pointedly get under Triple H's skin. They would probably take any number of people instead of Triple H because they were mad at him. But that, I mean, my God, that ought to tell you something right there. And it's not, again, I don't know how you can measure this as good heat. It's heat on a heel or heat on a program or heat on an issue, like a Punk and Drew McIntyre thing that was so hot over the bracelet, or the Bloodline thing was so hot over the Ula Falala and Lola Falana. Now, I'll tell you what, I would have fucking fought for Lola Falana, but nevertheless, that was not this type of thing. It was, we are disappointed with what we had been waiting to see for so long, and we didn't like the way that it happened. And that's heat on a promotion because they know that the promotion controls it now.
One last question about all this, and it's probably too early to know anything, so we're just guessing and talking. Do you think something like this could hurt? Will it hurt them the next time they come to DC? Tickets won't be as expensive, but they'll be expensive. Will it hurt them at other shows? Seeing the way they handled this event, we're seeing more and more. I mean, this is Saturday night's main event, so you can't really say it's the same as a premium live event, but 4 5-match shows where you're not getting anything at times. There's action sometimes, but you don't leave fulfilled. It seems like it's more and more with WWE. This may be the ultimate example of the fans not going home happy, not feeling fulfilled, especially the people who spent that money.
Oh, one of their holes, I bet, felt filled up.
What do you think? Do you think this could cause any long-lasting damage, either locally or with ticket sales throughout the country?
Well, this is not going to, for one thing, peacock, and it's a lame duck bird. See what I did there? And I mean, I don't know where was it as wide? Well, because still it was seen as retirement. They're going to look for that. I was going to say maybe they can luck out and not a lot of people watch, but no, Jesus Christ, people are going to look this fucking thing up. I don't think they ought to try to run Washington anytime soon, but they probably won't anyway. When's the last time they were in Washington? So it's, even if it's twice a year, it just won't run Washington one time. This is a sort of thing that just starts souring people. There's no one sudden stick of dynamite unless, it's a massive scandal of some description. It hits the front pages. It's just cumulative. I'm disappointed in that. Well, I was kind of disappointed in that. Well, I really want to see that, but I didn't like the way that type of thing over a period of time. This certainly, I don't think, helped anything. I don't think it's going to be the end of the goddamn business. I think it's just possibly another brick in the wall type of thing. But for the people in Washington that spent that money, they probably weren't real happy at all. For the people who just watched the bad show, they're like, even if they stop watching right now because they're getting out of it, something will come along in 6 months, maybe get them back into it, that kind of damage. But not, oh God, the sky's falling. It's just a drip, drip, drip kind of thing. At some point, you get dripped on too many times and you just get in out of the fucking rain, right? But it's just another drip.
Unfortunately, whenever you see John Cena interviewed, he never really says anything. He's kind of been amazingly trained at PR, like talking but not saying anything. But I wish we can get a truth serum and really find out what he thought of this last year, because it could have gone so much better. I think plenty of other people could have booked a better year. But what was all this? And he'll never say it because everything with him is just, he's like a walking, talking, inspirational poster. He doesn't say anything that's real or genuine. He's all performance. But The Rock, and forget about Travis Scott, who apparently they all hate now, but The Rock is still on the board of directors, and he's still a major shareholder. They keep giving him shares. How's he ever going to return to TV now after all this?
I don't think we'll see him for a while because he knows he'll not get a fond reception. And if Rock does come back and get booed, he's going to say, because, the final boss is an inflammatory character or whatever the fuck. But I think it might be this kind of scoffing that he doesn't want to undergo. And if I was Triple H for the next few weeks, I'd kind of lay low and stick to the voiceovers and things like that, because he's probably going to get some abuse, and he might even need to make a real popular ruling in the next week or so just to mitigate the shit falling on him.
Well, Jim, John Cena left the ring. He left his wristbands, his armbands, and of course his shoes.
Oh, and I was waiting for the fucking trunks and everything, and I think, Jesus Christ, just like the Oscars.
But I guess the question is, when we're getting back to his shoes, he left them in there. He doesn't have anything on his feet. A long walk back.
Has no shoes now.
Nothing.
He was in his sock feet.
That's right. And it must hurt walking all the way back to Hollywood without something on his feet. But we know something that looks good, that feels good, that does the job. A serious boot for a serious man from our friends at BRUNT.
Well, you don't have to be a serious man to have a serious boot. You could be some kind of jolly joker and still want to protect your feet. See, these things are not mutually exclusive, but the folks at BruntWorkwear.com have made boots that even not only will workmen appreciate them, but lazy people who want to look like they're going to work will appreciate them too. And they're stylish and they're comfortable, and you could wear them and just walk around and feel a little taller and a little more authoritative, because it'll give you about an inch in height. They got that non-slick grip on the bottom of them. And you can just walk down the street and they can Well, you can tell by the way that I'm walking down the street. I got some Brunt boots on my feet. And I'm going to kick you in the ass with them. See, like the Bee Gees did.
Just like the Bee Gees.
Just like that. Because with Brunt workwear, but folks, I've told you the Marin boots that I got, Marin, the Marin, that's the style of them. Again, they're incredibly comfortable, but at the same time, you ain't gonna slip and fall down because they got the beautiful soles, but they're waterproof and they're weatherproof, and they got furriness on the inside that keeps your feet warm. And yet again, did I mention you could just kick a son of a bitch just all in the ribs and up in the fucking kidneys all day long, and it will not screw up the shape of the toe. The toe is perfectly square after a day of kicking somebody's ass.
Once again, it's important to note that we should not assault anyone unless they cause the provocation. Don't start anything. Don't start problems.
Unless they deserve being assaulted, folks, don't it? But if they deserve it, kick the shit out of them with the Brunt work boots. But again, if you're out in the slush or the snow or the mud or the muck or potentially oil, if you found oil on your property and you're having to walk through it to use a dipstick, well, you'll want these boots, and then you can afford to buy some new ones. Okay, and right now we're going to save you some money. $10. So if you've just found oil on your property, you can save $10 off your entire order at BruntWorkwear.com with the promo code JCE. That's all you got to do. BruntWorkwear.com. Promo code JC is $10 off your entire order because, again, these things are wonderful and they're built to perform. You know what they perform is you put these things on, you can goddamn tap dance instantly.
You can't.
Something about the boots. Well, it says they're built to perform. You put the boots on and you're tap dancing. And then here a minute later, you look like Michael Jackson. You're moonwalking up and down the driveway. And then you take them off. You can't can't step in front of one another. You can't dance at all. You're just a klutz.
This is not.
But
the
you put these boots
that.
on.
No, you can't.
Of course,
dance.
you do look funny. You can dance. You can dance. You do look funny when you're on the dance floor wearing these boots, but it helps your dancing so much. It's a trade-off you got to make.
Dance through the mud of life with a great pair of work boots from our good friends at Brunt. Jim, one more time for these incredible. We love them here.
Yes.
You said they're your favorites. How can the listeners get these?
I went out in the snow the other day with them on.
Well, how can the listeners get...
I was afraid I'd fall down the driveway, but I didn't because it was like I was Batman climbing up the side of a building, walking up my icy driveway with these Marin boots on, and my feet were as warm as little hot dog tootsies. BruntWorkwear.com. The promo code is JCE for $10 off your entire order. Just tell them how big your foot is, and they'll go from there, because that's another thing. Once you tell them how big your foot is, then they're pretty much going to figure out with that scientific formula how big your dick is. And then they'll send you advertisements for dick slings and apparatuses that hold your big dick up.
Again, I don't know what you're talking about. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, for a great workwear, great work boot, a boot that you can wear as you trudge your way through life. Brunt. One last time, Jim, without any unnecessary detail, what's that promo code for great savings?
That promo code is JCE for that fine work boot from Brunt and all the other things that Brunt Workwear has and the things that they can hold your tallywhacker with. See, that's when you send them your foot size.
No,
well, you know, you're stooging yourself off.
We did say no unnecessary
From there on, they know everything they need to know. You just tell them that shoe size. And
you hear that noise?
They won't spread it around. They won't spread it around, but they're going to know.
How do we end this? Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we love them. Great boots. You'll love them too. Get Jim Cornette's favorite. BruntWorkwear.com.
If you love them, it increases the measurement.
BruntWorkwear.com/JCE. and we shall return right after this short commercial timeout.